What up, y'all? It's Alex, and we're doing Species of the Pod by Drexciya. Today, we're going to break it down, talk about its arrangement. Real quick, as I've already said, we have a new sample pack out. It is called Sounds of Detroit. It is basically, I went around and took a bunch of samples from cool spots in Detroit, such as the Fisher Building lobby, the Guardian Building lobby. I walked around the Renaissance Center a bit. It's one of the bigger buildings in Detroit. I got a couple recordings from some cool intersections, and yeah, just spots unique to Detroit. Good audio quality, really good like ambient stuff too. I also got about 25 samples or so. So I've released a few on YouTube that you can download. And if you want all of them, go to my Patreon and subscribe. You can also get track feedback from me there. You can also get one-on-one lessons from me there too. Link in the description. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Species of the Pod. So it's first going to start off with this pad. It's a minor chord, doo-doo-doo, and it's just setting the tone, giving us some ominous sort of vibes, and then we get those classic sounding Drexciya drums, a kick, 4 on the floor, some 16th note hats, and then a clap. The reason why I have the pad playing here then dropping off is because I'm assuming there's like a long release on the chord. If you're not sure what that means, basically like if you have a synthesizer with a long release, that means if you quickly tap a chord, then once you... Here, let me just show you real quick. Here's a synthesizer. I don't want this to take long. Here's a synth. There is a sound, and see this release thing? If I turn this up to 15 seconds, that means when I hit the chord and let go, it's going to play for 15 seconds. Here, wait. Let me turn up the decay too. What the fuck? Ah, my bad. I was on the wrong side. Here we go. That's what it does, and it'll slowly fade out. So that's why it sounds like this pad, again, I don't know for sure, but I'm just assuming there's a long release, so I didn't want to like fill up this entire space with pad. That also helps us visualize it. Alright, so now you see that we've got our bass line creeping into the game, and notice that the bass line, like with lots of Drexciya stuff, or if you watch the series on Other People Place, who broke down that entire album, you know, it's very common that you're just hearing things getting pulled in via volume. So it's not just entering in right away, it's getting pulled in with volume. So listen how the bass line's quiet here, then just comes up in volume. It's also convenient that the pad is not playing when the bass line's introduced. That's just kind of nice because it helps us hear the bass line clearly. But then, you know, the bass line comes in, the pad comes back in. Then we're going to have some like little C sounds enter the game here. It's nice to add new sounds because that's going to give us some variety for what we're listening to and therefore help keep the track interesting. I want to note that there's also some variation going on the bass line. Like it sounds like right around here. This almost sounds like a lower note than normal. Is what it's normally doing. But here it's like and here you can hear also, it sounds like this synth is probably being modulated too. Like this note just sounds kind of funky and weird here. That might have been a little hard to pick out, but if you just like only listen to the bass line, it does sound like some parameters might be changing on the synthesizer. And let me just take a step back to talk about that in general. Oftentimes with these tracks that we've broken down, we've done quite a few on this channel so far, you'll notice that it's all about making new combinations of things. Sometimes that means we have multiple leads. Sometimes that means we have A sections, B sections, C sections, D sections. I think, I don't know, maybe, whatever, different sections. But this track is interesting because it's really just, for the most part, we really have like 3 drum tracks: the kick, the hats, and the clap. Then we have that pad, the bass line, and these C sounds. I'm discounting the end. The end gets weird, but for the main bulk of this song, it's really just these things. And I tried to like look and come up with a quick pattern, because oftentimes with these techno tracks we can find repeating patterns, and then we're like taking like this, let's say we have this red block where this is all the same, and then like we'll have another chunk of the track where it's all green, and then it'll go back to red, and then it'll go, back to green. But that's not what happens here. Instead, like, I made these 16 bar chunks just like this. See, we have one here, one here, one here. And you'll note that the pad doesn't have a repeating pattern. It just plays when it plays. Same thing with these C sounds. They're different each time. And I think that kind of just speaks to this track's like the power you get with just these subtle variations. Like, this is a little different than this, which is a little different than this. This is a little different than this, which is a little different than this. Yeah, I mean, they're really just riding this groove for a pretty good period of time and giving us, I'm guessing this was probably just played live and was really much of a live feel thing, and it just felt right, I'm guessing. I'm sure some of y'all in the comments can further clarify their production techniques and stuff. But yeah, it's probably just played on a board, and they're probably just improvising this and really feeling it out. Maybe they rehearsed it before. I mean, I assume that, I don't know. Someone who knows more about Drexciya, because I know some of y'all do, know way more than I do, go ahead and comment, please, and tell us some of your thoughts here. But okay, let's just keep listening, and we'll pause if we need to, but there's really not a whole lot to talk about, like I said, at least in my opinion. So let's just keep going. Yeah, I almost want to say it's because this thing lacks a distinct pattern that it is able to stay interesting over time, because in a way, if it was exactly the same, if it was exactly the same 3 times, then we might get bored of it, but it is different. And so I feel like it's like harder for your brain to lock into that exact pattern. And because we can't lock into that exact pattern, as it keeps playing, we're not able to repeat it, and so therefore it's like by definition unpredictable. And I guess it's that unpredictability perhaps that is keeping this interesting. If you disagree, let me know. I love this about what I'm going to talk about real quick, I love this about Drexciya. So kick drops out here. That does give us a pretty significant energy change. Gives us time to breathe for a second. Kick comes back in after 4 bars. And then we get this hat pattern changing just a little bit for a bar until the hat drops. The part that I love, that I stopped earlier to say, oh, I love Drexciya, is that if you look at this, this is not... I mean, we could map this out a little more precisely, but unlike some techno where 8 bars, then 8 bars, then 8 bars, then 4 bars, something happens, then 2 bars, then something happens, we see the kick drop out for 4, then after the kick comes back in, the hats go on for 2, then like stop after 3, then there's a pause, and then the clap comes back in. So like if we like restart our cycle, like our mental cycle right here, then we have the hats coming in at bar 6, or the claps coming back in at bar 6. If this all sounds confusing, basically what I'm saying is it's nice that like things are coming in and dropping out, not at the most predictable, or at least like the most like, is mathematical the right word? No. Like, it's nice that's just not coming in at 2, 4, 6, or 8. It's nice that it really does have that live element feel to it. But okay. Once again, you can hear them just raise up the volume there. The bass line really starts just like messing up and sounding really weird here. This obviously is like quite a change because that bass line's been so like nice and bouncy and consistent, and this weird sputtering thing is making us go, huh, what's going on? Keeping it interesting. I made this the color that it is because we really start getting some more like apparent modulation of the bass line here, which helps keep it interesting. If you just watched our last video, I keep saying R, but it's kind of just me here. If you watched the last video with D-Dan, he again, I don't know if he goes by he, but they, or however D-Dan identifies, uses open hats a lot. Like, rather uses the modulation of open 909 hats to create different sensations and to create like interest within a loop. So just like that, you're getting modulation of this bass line to help keep interest in this bass line. There it is. There's the ending. So I didn't want to map that out. But basically, I like this. I want to see more of this. I mean, that's just my opinion. I love how at the end of this track, they just slow the tempo down, insert this weird chord at the end. It's nice. It's not your typical, oh, we're just going to do a fade out. Nothing wrong with that. When I say fade out, I mean like DJ exit track. Again, nothing wrong with that. But I personally just find this fun. I like. I think it might be because I come from other music genres before I got into club music, and so I always appreciate, a little funky, weird outro or a weird intro that's, not necessarily what you're used to hearing for like the typical DJ intro or outro. But yeah, they insert this chord, drop the tempo down, and then you get these like weird sputtery drums, and that's the track. So again, pretty simple, this one, in regards to its construction. If you want to make something like this, I'd recommend getting just a few tracks, a kick, hat, clap. It seems like that's all you need. I mean, you see how it's done right here. Then get a fun bass line, get a pad or a sample or two, maybe get a melody. Just get like about 3 elements or something, like 3 non-percussive, strictly percussive elements. You could argue that this bass line's like rhythmic. I don't think you'd call it percussive though. But basically, just get like these like 6, 7, 8 objects, whether that's kick, hat, clap, whatever, and then just have a good time. Just start improvising with it. Start twisting knobs around. Pull things out when it feels like you should pull them out. See what happens. It'll be a good time. Maybe it won't be. I hope it is. Go ahead and subscribe. Follow me on Patreon. You'll get sample packs if you do that. You'll also, if you do tier 2, if you do tier 1, you'll still get some samples. You'll also just support me. That helps me make more videos. And you can also get one-on-one lessons with me via Patreon. It's only $35 a month. You get 1 lesson. We can talk about mixing, production, mastering. You also get the sample pack with that and track feedback on that. So go ahead and check that out. Really appreciate y'all. Tell your friends. Adios, species of the pod. Bye-bye.